This is Kathy Chase. My voice, I've got a really bad cold right now, so I don't quite sound the same. But there's a lot of things I have to talk about today. So there'll probably be several more voice conversations. One is in regards to people using Pink Floyd music, mainly Pink Floyd music, to plot out my life. As people know, Roger Waters, the band Pink Floyd, Pink, the meaning of pink is, pinky, your pinky finger, the eye, it's the eye in sign language. Pink Floyd was around way before I was born. I don't know exactly what year they came around, but I do know that they were around before I was born by at least 5 to 10 years, probably 10 years, I think. There's a lot of 1968 references to people using music from 1968. I think Sgt. Pepper's was one of the albums, and I do know for sure that the song Money by Pink Floyd was used to put the chip in my foot. Okay, I want to talk about the picture of the presidents, the five presidents up there. Okay, 1968 is when they've used a lot of music, correct? That's 5 years before I was born. The pictures of the presidents, the pictures that they always have done, which is tradition of 5 presidents standing in the Oval Office by the desk. You know, recent years they've been using the Resolute desk. Barack Obama has his heels stuck together in a V shape. You know, people related to, in my family, Queen Victoria, correct? But V is Victoria. V is the number 5. In The Wizard of Oz, the yellow brick road, you click your heels 3 times together, and so forth. The yellow brick road, Wizard of Oz. Lee and Jan Oz's chicken. Barack Obama is folding his hands in that picture. 5 is in the Bible has to do with the beast. And then here's a little guess. I don't know if Barack Obama put this in my foot, but he didn't have the right to do so. And you can't even use the money made off my life to go buy rights to a certain type of RFID to say that you could do that. You can't go buy the rights to certain. You can't even buy the rights to RFID because it's too generic. RFID. You can't put in people's bodies without their consent, for one. For two, you can't use something whether you have own rights to it or not, to put it into somebody else's body to thus get them killed. For two, it's no different if somebody bought, say, Smith & Wesson guns, doesn't make them give them the rights to go and shoot them in the head, or go shoot as many people they want, right? Correct? Do you understand what I'm saying? If you buy into a brand of Swiss Army knives, you know, it doesn't give you the rights to go and stab people, you know, and so forth. Then in that picture is George Bush with his foot to the side. That was, you know, that's how I figured out. That's some of how I figured out about my foot. There are 5 presidents. There are references to music such as Sgt. Pepper's, Rosemary's Baby, and Rosemary's on the Money. The name Rosemary. Rosemary is a spice, okay? You know, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, in my baby book. This is important note. My mom dated a Jim Huffman, okay? Jim Huffman, his son is named Jeff Huffman, okay? Huff, Huffman. You know how you get the Little Red Riding Hood thing? You huff and you puff and you blow somebody's house down, or people who huff things or whatever. Which I'm not going to make any comment at this time, but I'm a little concerned about something else. Anyways, the only brown house, really brown house, well, the Clark's house was sort of brown, but it was wood siding before they changed the siding. It's now, they've got regular siding on that house, when the Clarks owned it. And then when Doug moved out, Dave Dinsmore and Dave and Jane got married. Dave Dinsmore, and then when they moved out, somebody changed the siding. But the real brown house was owned by the Leonards. The brown house by the closest to the electrical wires. Come to think of it, now that I'm thinking about it, and closest to the creek, the other creek, not Shady Creek Court, but the creek, the path that we cross, and the creek that goes through Larson Park, the creek that we cross going to school every day, whether I was coming home from Pound Junior High or from Zeeman. The Leonard's father, and the only brown house at the end of the street, at the end of the curve, was named, their family was named Roger, Sharon, Renee, and Nicole Leonard. One time when I was younger, Renee Leonard got mad at me. We didn't always get along, and she stuck a pencil in my eyeball. Anyways, Roger Leonard, you know how you got Leonard Nimoy from Star Trek. You got Roger, as in Roger and ham radio. Roger over and out, 10-4, that sort of thing. Roger's pretty important here as that brown house, in the on the Quail Ridge Circle block. As I talked about the presidential picture, with George Bush with his foot to the side, well, that kind of explains it. And whether, I don't know what they're saying. I have no idea. All I know, I don't really care what they're saying, because that's the fact. That's what happened. Somebody put crap in my foot, and well, you got George H. at the end, and his foot is on the thin line. Well, that thin line, Shannon is the thinnest person I've ever known. I'll just put it that way. George H. H would be Hexham or Hubert or Hedgeland. Those are the three that obvious. Okay. Let me see here. The album, Money. I mean, the album, Moment, no, not that one. The album, Dark Side of the Moon is the album they use. You see the prison and the rainbow. That was, I think it was 1968. I'm outside right now. In 1968, okay? That's where they got all these people wearing all these stupid little colors to try to debate my life. And the song they used is Money, and I told you it was because of money laundering and money made off of my life, and they're trying to kill me with my own money. And as I told you, his name is the person in the band Pink Floyd. I was born pink because I'm a girl. The band Pink Floyd, but Pink Floyd was around before I was born. Pink Floyd's not about me. Anyways, Roger Waters, and then they took my water ox Chinese astrology, the fact Virgo, Ringo Starr, Beatles. I wrote some of this down on my YouTube account. 1968 5 years before I was born. And I don't know what the deal is with 5. 5 in the Bible, the beast, the beast or whatever. And 5 is the number 5. 5 is V. V for Victoria. Victoria, from Buckingham Palace, on the Robin side of the family, would be the people that the side of the family in which is related to Queen Victoria. I don't know. That's a long ways, and that's a long time ago. But I don't know who actually traced it back that far, or they just always knew that, I guess. But yeah, they use that album, The Yellow Brick Road, you know, The Pot of Gold with Leprechauns at the end of a rainbow. These people are crazy. They're out of their mind crazy. And anyways, the pacemaker from the album Atomic Heart Mother, which was written even before The Dark Side of the Moon. They put this pacemaker in it, and they've been abusing me with it since I had Autumn. These people are crazy. I have no idea what the presidents are doing. This is cult activity. This is not only mafia, you know, the Pinky Mafia. This is not only mafia, this tech stuff. This is people, you know, cult. This is absolute cult behavior. They've ruined my life. And I don't think these bands, the Beatles, Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin, and there's several other ones, the Turtles, the Byrds, you know, Tina Turner was always known for her legs. I don't think certain people appreciate you ruining my life and making such a spectacle to the whole world of your irresponsibility for profit, using the song Money by Pink Floyd. Money. My daughter, they've got my daughter controlled, Autumn, to call me Money, okay? I don't have money. I don't have any of the money they've profited off of me. All I've had is abuse. They try to corner me with their diversion theft. Well, Diversion Services is 44th and O, and so is Froggy and radio station, and you can't do that. And all over the KBC place, you know, there's black families, African American families all over the walls, and they're talking about privilege, and it's all in rainbows, rainbow color court, and then you've got the whole Rainbow Push Coalition, and then all of these old shows from the 70s and 80s in which have elevators in their shows. The Jeffersons, and the Jeffersons is one, George Jefferson, and then George Jefferson is one, and then the other one is Good Times. Good Times, where the elevator was always broken, okay, by the janitor. Bubba, as in Pop, I don't know. You know, you got Bubblicious Gum, Pop, I don't know. Anyways, Bubba Butt, or whatever they call them. And Penny was Janet Jackson on the show. Penny was Janet Jackson on the show. And the Jacksons were noted for being on that show. The Jackson 5. You've got, you know, other bands in relation to the number 5. 5 is one of the key numbers. And then 5511, I didn't live on 5511 until about 1977, I think, is when the house was built. It was 1977, I believe. 1976, between, right around there, 1977, I think, is when the house on 5511 Quail Ridge Circle was built. We had it built. We were the first owners, and Robert Sides of the Shriners, he's a Shriner, one of the head of the 44th member of the Shriners, Robert Sides, 44th member of 44. There's the 44th. We're on the 44th president, you know, and so forth. These people, I think Pink Floyd would be pretty angry that they did this using their music, and because that's the main one that they used, and profiting off of my misery and the misery of other people, using these bands, in which are the greatest bands ever in existence, you know, Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin, you know, the Beatles, and so forth, Rolling Stones, and they're using the best bands, you know, ever, you know, to ever exist, to ruin my life and the lives of others, and to profit. And that song, Money, on the Dark Side of the Moon, with the prism and the rainbow, and they're using this colored tie game to try to initiate gossip to get me killed. Gossip, rumor, slander. They're doing everything opposite of the law. Presidents can't do that, and neither can these punks from high school. You can't buy into a company and own a person's body because you illegally put it there. Do you understand that? You can't go and buy knives and say a company of knives like Chicago Cutlery, and you can't. They're, you know, kitchen blocks of knives. You can't go buy Chicago Cutlery and then cut up people because you own the company. Do you understand that? That's not how things work. You can't go buy certain brands of RFID and so forth. Okay, here's another thing I need to mention from as I said, Leonard, Roger Leonard had a daughter named Nicole, okay, in the Brown house. Okay, and Pound Junior High, when I hung out with Jamie Rippey, they had a Brown house, okay, on Stonecliff, which is up the street from Shannon Hubert's house. They lived in Stonecliff Court or Stonecliff Circle. I can't remember which one it was. They're in the circle there. It was a brown house with brown wood shades. The Lassons were the only other people that I ever knew with brown wood built-in blinds, like Venetian blinds or whatever you call them. The actual wooden ones that are built in to the framework of the window. They were part of this whole thing, calling themselves the O Street Warriors, in which Nick Hexum was a part of. He would go by the name Echo. Echo is in Pink Floyd music. So there's a lot of information for you today, right there, and you can't go buy things and kill people with them because you're you're at fault for breaking the law to begin with. You can't go buy companies with monies profited off of that person's life in which you broke the law to begin with to try to get them killed. Okay? So, you know, people did it when they were out of office, or they did it, you know, before they were in office. I don't know if the person was a minor and then they're using it as a weapon now. That doesn't really matter because it's being used as a weapon now. And I believe more of the same type of RFID had been put into my body. This is Kathy Chase. That's all I wanted to say for now, but I'm sure there'll be more voice messages. One other important note. All the girls in the, most of the girls in the Quail Ridge neighborhood were all, You know, they like to play with their doll stuff and stuff like that. But we were all tomboys. Okay, we all like to go down to the creek and look for frogs and snakes with the boys and things like that. Everybody knows what a tomboy is. A lot of girls go through that. Most girls go through that. And then you have like tomcats or peeping toms. Peeping toms is the most relevant one, and so forth. Also, Roger Leonard, the last name Leonard, I mentioned the Star Trek thing. Leonardo, Da Vinci, and the art associated. There is on interior design, Lee's interior design. There's a Mona Lisa sideways, painted on the brick side of that place next to Dairy Queen. Dairy Queen is owned by Berkshire Hathaway, I believe, or he owns a great deal of that. Leo the lion. I believe it's Leo the lion at the zoo that eat paper. Okay, Leo the lion at Folsom Zoo. He'd eat paper. Or he was a garbage eating paper eater at the Folsom Zoo. And then I talked about the Henry Dorley Zoo in Omaha. At CBA, I worked with a Diane Henry. She worked upstairs. She's one of the supervisors, and so forth. So there's some important information. Rosenblatt Stadium, right by the Henry Dorley Zoo, where the World Series is held. And I talked about the Roger Waters thing and Pink Floyd, and my Chinese astrology, water ox. I'm a Virgo. Ringo Starr. You got Texas, the Lone Star State, and so on and so forth. And I made some important notes today. These people can't kill me because they made a big, huge crime out of my life and exploited me to make more money in a mafia type of way. And presidents can't do this stuff. I don't care how much money he's made off my life, or George Bush, or any of these other people. You can't kill me, and you can't play your stupid little rainbow colored games that started from Pink Floyd album, and make my life a living hell with your social services intentionally and so forth. So people know what you're doing, and it's pathetic. You can't use gay pride rainbow colors, food stamp program. They changed it to SNAP. The turtle shirt I had when I was little. I mean, this is how sick these people are. Food pyramids, different types of pyramids, and the money, and so, these people are crazy. The hierarchy of needs. And I have an arch